If MVRV does not break the warning line, can Bitcoin still rise by another 25%? BSC chain activity leads the entire network, and the market value of Wall Street Wolf W reaches $52.1 million. When the independence of the Federal Reserve becomes a political sacrifice, how long can Powell hold on? ETH/BTC is rising strongly and crypto stocks are taking off. Is Ethereum really not just hyping up sentiment this time? Trump supports UK bans. Has crypto donations gotten into politics? After getting rid of 200,000 bitcoins, is Bulgaria regretting it now?
Thursday, July 17th, BitcoinTV English channel. Where is the coin chain? I am Michael. Let's start with the 24-hour data headlines in the currency circle. The US PPI increased by 2.3% year-on-year in June, lower than the expected 2.5%, and flat month-on-month. The market immediately interpreted it as inflation has slowed and the Federal Reserve may really cut interest rates. As a result, Bitcoin soared and once broke through $120,000, setting a new high for the period. But the climax only lasted for a while, and the regulators came to smash the scene. The second round of procedural voting on the House of Representatives encryption regulation bill was directly stuck because someone wanted to add prohibition of central bank digital currency to the bill. The CBDC clause was debated to a standstill, legislation was suspended, and market expectations changed immediately. At the same time, the traditional financial circle was also restless. Bank of America, the CEO publicly stated that they are preparing for the issuance of stablecoins, and Morgan Stanley also said that they are studying the customer application scenarios of stablecoins. It seems that they are going to end, but to put it bluntly, without legal support, these plans can't run at all. In terms of market conditions, Bitcoin broke through the key resistance level in a short period of time, but soon fell back to around $118,000 and fluctuated. From a technical perspective, $120,000 has become a staged strong pressure zone. If there is no clear positive release on the policy side, Bitcoin will most likely continue to move sideways in the $115,000 to $121,000 range. By mid-July, the MVRV indicator of short-term Bitcoin holders was still around 1.15, which is still a long way from the 1.35 that was used for inertial dumping in history. What does it mean? It means that short-term players have not made enough money yet, and no one is in a hurry to dump the market. Simply put, the STHMVRV indicator is how much people who hold the currency for less than 155 days have earned on average. Now, the floating profit is 15%, while the historical top usually starts collective shipments at around 35%. So don't be scared by the current high point. This wave is still far from the peak. More importantly, on July 11th, the cost line of short-term users broke $100,000 for the first time, and now it has risen to $102,000. In other words, even if BTC has risen to $117,000, many people have just made money and are not ready to leave. In other words, in the short term, BTC still has 20% to 25% room for growth. If we add the structural benefits such as ETFs continuing to attract funds, rising on-chain activity, and lower volatility, it is not a dream for BTC to hit $135,000 to $140,000 in the next few weeks. MVRV is the weather vane of the top of the stage. Don't stare at the price ceiling. The key is to see how much these people earn. As of today, the total locked amount of DeFi has reached $132.7 billion, an increase of 2.57% in one day, and a return of $30 billion in 1 month, directly returning to the high point at the end of the year. The BSC chain is the most powerful, with 2.36 million transactions a day, ranking second in popularity in the entire network, second only to Ethereum. The on-chain ecology has really warmed up. The current locked amount of the BSC chain has reached 11.055 billion US dollars, ranking 4th among public chains, and has risen by 9.08% in the past 30 days, showing a steady trend of net capital inflow. As the main carrier chain of meme assets, BSC benefits from the market's short-term preference for highly volatile assets and is expected to release more trading and liquidity potential. Value is a new BSC coin that has recently hit the hot list. It has risen by more than 20% in just 1 week since its launch. It focuses on decentralized arbitrage engine, does not charge trading taxes, and the contract is also open and transparent. No problems were found in the initial audit. The current price is $0.052 and the market value has reached 52.1 million. As the DeFi ecosystem continues to recover and the Federal Reserve's policy enters a critical window period, the overall liquidity environment of the blockchain sector has improved, and mainstream public chains and high-quality tokens are expected to usher in a second round of compensatory increases. Please like and follow us to sort out the latest developments in the cryptocurrency, blockchain, and mining circles within 24 hours. Click the small bell to join the channel and become a member. You can get the member wealth code from Monday to Friday. Trump and Powell are fighting again. Trump has called on the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates every now and then this year, but Powell has always ignored him and insisted on one sentence: "Let's make policies, not politics." But Trump is not buying it. He directly hit back. "You cut interest rates very quickly during the 2020 election. Why are you pretending not to hear it now?" He also threw out a set of data saying that high interest rates have blown up the federal government's interest expenses, and it is simply paying rent to the Federal Reserve with taxpayers' money. However, the Federal Reserve also has something to say. Their meeting minutes made their attitude clear. Inflation has not been suppressed yet, and if they are in a hurry to cut interest rates now, it will be like adding fuel to the fire. Powell is also very tough. "I recognize data, not wind direction." And just today, there are rumors that Powell may resign. Is this tug-of-war over whether to cut interest rates a policy game or a rehearsal for the election? If it really goes all out, who will play the first card?
Powell, you mentioned fraud in an earlier answer. Are you saying you want to investigate the Fed chair for fraud related to this renovation?
Well, I think he's already under investigation. He spent far more money than he was supposed to on rebuilding. I didn't see him as being the kind of guy that would want to have parks, rooftop parks and everything else on top of buildings. But who wants to spend that money for the Fed? The Fed is supposed to sit there and say where interest rates are going and a couple of other very easy things to do. And he spent $2.5 billion. I think he's got some problems.
Trump accused Powell of hiding the truth during the congressional inquiry, saying that the renovation project of the Federal Reserve headquarters cost $2.5 billion, 32% over budget, and involved luxurious decoration. He criticized Powell for being slow to act, causing the United States to lose hundreds of billions of dollars, and promoted congressional investigations and demanded his removal. Powell responded that the renovation was for safety and modernization reasons, and that setting interest rates would not be affected by politics, and his term would last until 2026. Experts warned that political pressure on the Federal Reserve could disrupt the market and increase uncertainty.
The reason why Trump keeps forcing the Fed to cut interest rates is not just to save the economies on the surface, but also a game around power and discourse power. In his view, cutting interest rates can boost the stock market, ease government debt pressure, stimulate consumption and voter confidence, and provide political achievement materials for the election campaign. But the deeper problem is that Fed Chairman Powell holds the global interest rate anchoring power and can shake the capital market with a single sentence, which is more effective than the president. Trump certainly does not want to stand by and watch this kind of power, let alone others control it. He attacked Powell for concealing the renovation budget and procrastinating policies, which is not only creating pressure, but also building an economic scapegoat for himself. In other words, forcing Powell to abdicate is not only Trump's monetary proposition, but also his challenge to the independence of the Federal Reserve System. This seemingly battle about interest rates is actually a microcosm of the deep tearing of the American political power structure. Last night, the US stock market fluctuated and rose a little. The Nasdaq rose slightly by 0.0% and closed at a new high. Bitcoin has been moving sideways recently, but Ethereum has quietly started to exert its strength. Arthur Hayes, the founder of BitMEX, and Cathie Wood of ARK Investments both shouted that Ethereum is not over yet and will continue to rise. At the same time, behind the Ethereum Reserve Company stood Tom Lee and Peter Thiel, Wall Street giants, who directly attracted a lot of hot money. Crypto concept stocks also took off collectively. SPIET soared 29% in one day and MNR jumped 12%. The whole market was so hot that it was almost smoking.
As Ethereum rises, the ETH/BTC exchange rate rises to 0.0287, a weekly increase of 17.2% and a 3-month increase of more than 50.11%. In the past 2 weeks, the net inflow of Ethereum spot ETFs reached $1.55 billion. On July 16th alone, Fidelity received $12.2 million, and BlackRock ETH fund has attracted $3.3 billion since April. The corporate side is also increasing its positions. Companies such as SharpLink Gaming follow strategy to build Ethereum reserves. Under the dual buying of ETFs and corporate treasuries, the exchange's ETH inventory has dropped to a 9-year low, boosting prices.
So Bitcoin's value proposition is now. Ethereum's value proposition has been perceived to be in the future. We've been building scalable infrastructure, layers of enabling infrastructure for about a decade, anticipating that all the activity of the internet and the web will move to Web 3. And Web 3 is really the natural evolution of the web protocols, sort of a re-decentralization of the World Wide Web. So Ethereum is scalable enough, affordable enough, legal enough in the United States. It's very usable right now.
The next wave of Ethereum explosion is likely to be in the area of staking. The market is now guessing, if the spot ETF can add staking income one day, wouldn't it be equivalent to giving away 3 to 4% Ether interest every year? There is no doubt that long-term funds will rush in to grab it. Wall Street analysts have also kept up with the pace. ETFs are still attracting money. Web3 infrastructure cannot do without Ethereum. This wave of market is not over at all. Sam cheono baeg weon sachon weon. In their eyes, they are all base prices. To be honest, looking at the current momentum, the target price I shouted before seems conservative.
Cryptocurrency enters the election battlefield, and global legislation enters a sensitive area. Conservatives cling to gold while newcomers urge to buy Bitcoin. Who is the real gold and silver?
In the 2024 US election, cryptocurrency companies invested a total of about $134 million to support friendly candidates. This move not only aroused the enthusiasm of the crypto community, but also aroused concerns from the outside world about money influencing politics. At the same time, this also made the global political arena anxious, and should digital donations be regulated, became the focus of a new round of verbal wars. The United States also quarreled fiercely. Trump took the lead in standing up for digital assets, and the crypto community became more and more vocal in the political arena. But not everyone bought it. States like Oregon, Michigan, and North Carolina said bluntly, "It's unclear where the money came from, and it's unclear whether it's compliant or not. Let's ban it first." California was earlier, and it was banned once in 2018, but it was withdrawn in 2022. The UK simply said, "No donations allowed, all banned."
In May this year, Nigel Farage, leader of the British Reform Party, was in Las Vegas. 2025 The Bitcoin Conference announced that the party would accept cryptocurrency donations for the first time and promote legislation to establish Bitcoin reserves and reduce capital gains tax. This move caused a stir in the political arena. Labour MP Liam Byrne questioned its legality and transparency, and Cabinet Office Minister Pat McFadden called for a complete ban. fearing that it would be difficult to track and vulnerable to foreign interference. The British government has included this issue in the new round of political financing reviews and plans to promote relevant restrictions.
We'll create a sovereign Bitcoin reserve fund. So we have a Bank of England sovereign fund that is fit for the future, and we'll even allow HMRC to accept, we'll make HMRC accept tax payments in crypto. So we'll make actually paying your taxes frictionless if you choose to use cryptocurrency.
British MPs have recently set their sights on crypto donations and plan to completely ban them. The rules on how to collect and spend money in the next election may have to be changed. In fact, as early as 2022, Ireland had already taken action, fearing the involvement of foreign forces, and directly banned donations of cryptocurrencies to political parties. Although El Salvador did not ban it, organizations there also jumped out to sound the alarm. Your supervision is so loose, and Bitcoin is still legal tender. It may become a green channel for black money to enter politics. In the final analysis, countries now have different views on this matter and how to manage it, and whether to manage it will take a long time to argue. Although they all say that Bitcoin is risky, governments around the world are actually really good action-oriented behind the scenes. Now they have hoarded a total of 463,000 Bitcoin, accounting for 2.3% of the global supply. The United States is the largest holder, holding 198,000 coins. China is close behind with 190,000 coins, which is simply chasing each other. The United Kingdom is not to be outdone, holding 61,245 coins and ranking third, and Ukraine keeps up with the pace, with 46,351 coins. North Korea's coins are mostly obtained by the National Hacker Team. 13,562 coins are earned without work. Bhutan keeps a low profile and has 10,486 coins. As for Bulgaria, it happily received 200,000 bitcoins when it caught drug dealers, but now it seems to have evaporated, becoming the most unsolved case in the global crypto community.
In 2017, the Bulgarian government seized 213,519 bitcoins from a criminal gang, which were worth about $3.5 billion at the time, accounting for 1/5 of the country's debt. In 2018, these coins were sold for about 15,000 euros each. But if they were held until now, they would be worth $25.24 billion, which would almost pay off the country's entire $24 billion public debt.
And so, many governments hold gold. I think they should start to hold Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is essentially the new gold standard. It's, I think, a very core way.
Bulgaria's selling bitcoins at a loss incident is still a hot topic in the circle. Alex Obchakevich, founder of Obchakevich Research, has a clear attitude, saying that Bitcoin is too volatile and not suitable for national strategic reserves. If it falls, it may break through the fiscal bottom line. But Valentin Mihov, co-CEO of Enflux, completely disagrees. He is a Bulgarian and is quite resentful of the government's early clearing operation. He thinks that this is a missed opportunity for national wealth leap. What about now? If that batch of coins had not been moved, it would have soared to $25.2 billion, enough for Bulgaria to pay off all public debts. The question is, can Bitcoin really be used as a treasury gold brick? Governments are still struggling.
Nick Timaleos, the Federal Reserve mouthpiece, said that if Trump tries to remove Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve may erupt into a long-term standoff. Powell may insist on staying in office until the court or the Senate makes a ruling. Coinbase released the Base app to replace the original Coinbase wallet, integrating social networks, mini applications, instant USDC payment and transaction functions, relying on the Ethereum Layer 2 network-based ecosystem. According to Protos, through the Freedom of Information Act FOIA, the requested documents show that the U.S. Marshals Service holds at least $1.6 billion in Bitcoin. French lawmakers have submitted a bill to use excess electricity from nuclear power plants for Bitcoin mining, which is expected to generate $100 million to $150 million in revenue annually. According to the Bangkok Post, The Thai Securities and Exchange Commission has cooperated with the Bank of Thailand to launch a sandbox program that allows foreign tourists to exchange digital assets for Thai baht for consumption.
Okay, the above is the main content of today's program. Our channel focuses on valuable news in the currency circle, chain circle, and mining circle. There are news information and in-depth special reports. If you think our channel is valuable, you are welcome to forward and follow it. You can also become our member and receive the member wealth code from Monday to Friday. Let us become rich together and add a zero to our assets in the bull market. See you tomorrow.